The morning crowd on Platform 3 was thick as molasses. Bodies pressed shoulder to shoulder. Each commuter lost in their own half-waking reverie. The fluorescent lights overhead hummed in time with the distant rumble of trains. And the station's tiled walls frowned down like silent sentinels. Emma clutched the strap of her tote bag. Earbuds nestled in her ears. Scrolling on her phone while waiting for the 7:32 to pull in. At the far end, a father steadied his little girl against the guardrail, and a besuited executive brushed past an elderly man leaning upon his cane. Just then, the platform lurched as the express train thundered into the station ahead of schedule, its metal flanks gleaming in the tunnel's glare. The sudden jerk sent coffee cups bobbing, newspapers fluttering midair, and even seasoned commuters stumbling for balance. Among them was Alex, a 16-year-old on his way to summer school, boots scraping on the yellow safety line. In that split second, Alex lost his footing, his backpack slipped sideways, and his momentum carried him forward, toward the very edge of the platform. He reached out for the rail, heart pounding, but the next heartbeat belonged to Max, a brindle Pitbull tethered by a short leather leash to his owner's hand. Max was on his morning commute, calm by habit, eyes bright with curiosity. When the platform jolted, his head snapped up and he braced all four paws. He spotted Alex's flailing arms, flicking toward the dark abyss between train and platform. Without hesitating, Max lunged forward, catching Alex's backpack strap between his teeth. A soft but firm grip, precise enough to hold the bag yet gentle enough not to injure. With that single clamp, Max anchored Alex, pulling him back from the precipice just as the train roared past in a blur of windows and steel. Commuters froze, witnesses to a moment of raw instinct. The train's whistle pierced their ears, wind whipping hair and jackets. Emma dropped her phone, watching Alex's knuckles regain color as he stumbled back onto solid ground. Max released the strap on his owner's cue, then sat back on his haunches, ears perked and tail gently wagging, as though to say, "Everything's all right now." The father scooped his daughter into his arms, and the suited executive wiped sweat from his brow. Alex, shaken but safe, pressed his hand to his chest, eyes wide as the crowd closed around him to offer water bottles and words of consolation. A young woman filmed the scene on her phone. Another reached to call 911. Though no emergency crew would be needed. Moments later, the station's PA crackled as the next train approached. The squeeze of the crowd resumed, but undercurrents of awe and gratitude hummed in the air. Alex knelt beside Max, brushing away a soft strand of fur. "Thank you, boy," he whispered, voice still trembling. Max leaned into the hand on his head. Content to be patted, content simply to have done what he'd been born to do. Over the coming days, CCTV from the station's corner cameras and that bystander footage would make the rounds online. News crews would interview Alex. "I just saw him there and knew I had no choice but to trust him," and they'd talk to Max's owner, a businesswoman named Rosa, who explained that Max had been trained as a companion dog, but no special, emergency drills had prepared him for this moment. It was pure instinct, Rosa said, that guided him. And so in the heart of the city, where steel and concrete often feel indifferent to human life, a pitbull's swift reflex and unwavering loyalty reminded everyone that sometimes the greatest heroes walk on four paws, clutching not weapons but the straps of wounded backpacks, and in a single heartbeat, steer us back to safety. As the morning sun edged through the station's glass canopy, faint rays glinted off the coolant blue tiles and polished steel rails. Despite the rush-hour scramble, an electric hush spread through Platform 3 as word rippled that something extraordinary had occurred. Whispers of "the dog" and "saved that kid" passed between grazed shoulders and jangling briefcases. An undercurrent of amazement weaving through the steady tide of commuters boarding and disembarking. Rosa, Max's owner, stood just inside the "mind the gap" warning line, leash in hand as her loyal companion scanned the crowd with alert amber eyes. She had watched Alex's near fall in slow motion, heart clenching as he pitched forward over the yellow paint. In that heartbeat, she felt two impulses: to pull Max in close, and to let him go. She chose the latter, trusting the dog's instincts, and she would never regret it. When the station manager, a tall woman in navy uniform, approached, she paused before kneeling beside Alex. "You're okay?" she asked quietly. Alex nodded, Voice thick. He saved me. He turned toward Max, raising a trembling hand. Thank you. A hush fell as everyone realized this wasn't a drill or a stunt. This was genuine heroism. The station manager tapped her radio, then addressed Rosa and Max in a calm, official tone. I need your names and the dog's breed. Please. Our CCTV and witness statements will back this up. But we want you both on record. Rosa supplied her details. Rosa Delgado, project manager at the tech firm, Istanbul Insights, and proudly added that Max was a 10-month-old American Pitbull Terrier. The station manager's eyebrows lifted in polite acknowledgement. There had been no time for prejudice here. Only gratitude. Within minutes, 2 uniformed officers arrived, badges glinting on their chests. They shook Alex's hand and offered him a bottled water, then bent to speak to Rosa. We'd like to file an official commendation for your dog. One officer explained. Canine Good Citizen Award. Perhaps something from the Municipal Public Safety Office? Rosa's face broke into a tentative smile. Recognition Max had never sought, but deeply deserved. Meanwhile, a small cluster of bystanders huddled around a young man holding out his smartphone. He scrolled through the clip, replaying the moment when the train screeched past and Max's teeth locked onto the backpack strap. The image was crisp, a braided nylon strap glinting in the fluorescent lights. Max's ears pinned back in focus. His body coiled like a spring as he tugged Alex back to safety. Motion blur streaked past to either side. Commuters a silent wave of colors. Upstairs in the control booth, the station's CCTV operator reviewed the footage from 3 cameras, wide angle, side platform, and a close-up at the yellow line. Each feed captured something slightly different, the sudden swaying of bodies, Alex's panicked expression, Max's immaculate timing. She clipped versions of each angle into an evidence packet and emailed them directly to the Transit Authority's Incident Review Board with the subject line, Pitbull prevents potential fatality, urgent. A short time later, the Transit Authority's communications officer arrived to give a statement for the morning news bulletin. She praised the quick thinking of bystanders for calling attention to the incident. But her voice broke when she mentioned the dog's name. Max exhibited extraordinary reflexes and loyalty, she said, reminding us all that service animals aren't the only ones capable of heroism. We're coordinating with local animal welfare groups to honor Max. Details will follow. Alex, still shaking, was escorted to a quiet corner of the platform to sit on a bench and collect himself. His mother, who had been on the 7:05 train behind the express, disembarked when she saw the commotion. She enveloped him in a hug so fierce that every commuter in earshot felt a shared exhale of relief. Nurses and EMT volunteers standing by for unrelated medical assistance approached with pulse oximeters, checked Alex's vitals, and confirmed he'd suffered nothing more than shock and a skinned elbow. Alex's blood pressure was normal, his oxygen saturation at a solid 98%, no aftereffects from the brief exposure to the draft between train and platform. By mid-morning, a crowd had formed at the station's main entrance, where news vans parked with satellite dishes pointing skyward. Reporters waved microphones as they spoke into cameras framed on the station's name plaque. The live feed cut to footage of the platform, now cordoned off by yellow, caution, tape. Officials stood by, gestures solemn, Max and Rosa seated at the center. Max's head resting gently on Rosa's lap while an animal behavior specialist explained to a TV crew how Pitbull's musculature and tempered intelligence had enabled Max's precise rescue. From that broadcast, stories spread like wildfire. Local morning shows invited Rosa and Max for interviews, park rangers, ambulance crews. Even the mayor of the city took turns praising the dog. A social media storm erupted with hashtags like #MaxTheRescueDog and #PitbullHero, circulating the CCTV clip and eyewitness videos, each one underlining the same truth: heroism knows no breed. Later that afternoon, Alex, recovered and back on his feet, walked down to the station with his mother. He carried a hand-drawn, "Thank you" card featuring a crayon sketch of a train, a platform, and a happy dog. When he approached Rosa, his cheeks still damp, he thrust the card into her hand. "For Max," he said, voice filled with awe. "I nearly died, and he saved me." Rosa knelt, touching Alex's shoulder. "Max would do it again in a heartbeat," she replied gently. He's my best friend, and now your hero. 2. Max lifted his head, tongue lolling, as if he understood every word. Alex knelt before him, hugged his massive neck, and whispered into his ear a simple message that rang louder than any public accolade. You're the best dog in the world. As the sun climbed higher, commuters resumed their routines, carrying with them an unforgettable moment of clarity, that among the rush of daily life. When metal snaked through subterranean tunnels and fate hung in a single misstep, there would always be a steadfast guardian ready to pull us back from the edge, sometimes in the shape of a Pitbull. Teeth lightly gripping a backpack strap, heart beating in perfect sync with ours. Presence before catastrophe, Max had shown them, can arrive on 4 paws and a wagging tail, just in time. As evening settled and the last commuter trains rattled into the station, Platform 3's morning drama felt both vivid and unreal. Station crews swept away the yellow caution tape while curious onlookers lingered, replaying the day's events in their minds. The sudden lurch of the train, the teenager's near plummet, and the flash of brindle fur that yanked him back from the edge. Yet for Rosa and Max, the real work was just beginning. Rosa led Max down the gleaming tunnel toward the Transit Authority's Customer Relations Office, where a small ceremony awaited. The waiting room had been arranged with rows of folding chairs, banners declaring, "Celebrate our heroes," and a long table dripping with bouquets. Officials from the Transit Authority, local animal rescue organizations, and even the teen school had gathered, a tapestry of bureaucrats in suits, volunteers in bright vests, and families clutching children's hands. When Rosa approached the podium, Max sat obediently at her feet, his harness gleaming under the fluorescent lights. A hush fell as the Transit Authority's director, a stern woman named Ms. Patel, stepped forward. "Today," she began, voice cracking with pride, "we witnessed courage of the purest kind. In the deafening roar of steel and speed, a young man lost his balance and fate could have been sealed in an instant. But a dog, loyal, brave, true, chose to act." She gestured to Max, for pulling Alex to safety. The Transit Authority bestows upon Max the inaugural Urban Rail Hero Medal, and grants him lifetime complimentary rides on our system. A volunteer handed Rosa a certificate while another clipped a small medal onto Max's harness. Alex's mother approached, tears in her eyes, to present her son's Bravery Award, a simple plaque etched with his name for keeping his wits after the fall. Alex, now brimming with a mixture of excitement and residual shock, took the stage with his mother's help. He spoke into the microphone, voice steady despite the emotion. "Thank you, Max, you saved me. I'll never forget it." After the applause died down, a small camera crew from the city's flagship news network filmed a segment. They crouched near Max's level, asking simple questions. Did he understand what he was doing? Rosa explained calmly that Max had been socialized around trains and crowds. But no drill could teach a dog to sense danger the way Max had. "He just knew," she said, pressing a hand to Max's head. "He always knows." Late into the evening, when polish-shined officials had departed and the last of the flowers were packed away, Rosa and Max returned to the station to ride home. They boarded a nearly empty train, the seats still cool from the day's heat. Rosa sat and stroked Max's ears as the carriage shuddered into motion. Max leaned his weight into her, eyes half closed. A dog finally allowed to rest after a day of living up to a hero's name. In the days that followed, Max's story filled every local paper and punctuated every traffic report on morning radio. Transit schedules now ran alongside Hero of the Week features, and children's TV programs replayed the rescue footage with captions that explained how to stay safe on platforms. Rosa found herself fielding requests, from radio interviews and school assemblies to an online petition to rename Platform 3's waiting area Max's Lookout, all celebrating the dog who had become the heart of the city's collective gratitude. Yet amidst the fanfare, Rosa never lost sight of what mattered most, the bond between her and Max, strengthened in that razor-thin moment of crisis. Each morning, they returned to the station for their commute, side by side, harness and leash clicking a quiet rhythm. And each time the train's wheels clattered in, Rosa would glance at Max's poised silhouette and remember that courage can blossom in any shape, even in a dog's toenail scratch and a loving tug on a backpack strap. If only we have the faith to trust it. Because in a world that often feels ruled by schedules and steel, Max's story proved that our first, and sometimes most reliable, line of defense lies in the living, beating heart of a faithful companion. Presence before catastrophe, it turns out, is a lesson best taught by those who stand ready to act when all else hesitates, and that lesson begins with 4 paws pressed firmly on the brink. The morning after the award ceremony, Platform 3 hummed with a new energy. Commuters strolled past a framed photo of Max, metalled harness gleaming, installed beside the station clock. Rosa paused before heading to work, kneeling to adjust Max's harness and whisper a quiet, "Ready?" into his ear. Max's tail wagged once in reply. To him, every ride was a chance to stay vigilant. That rush hour, as elbows jostled and papers fluttered, Max took his place beside Rosa at the same spot on the yellow safety line. He scanned every face, every moving shadow, ears twitching at the metallic shriek of an arriving train. When a woman nearby fumbled with her phone and nearly stepped too close, Max leaned forward and offered a single, gentle snuffle, his low, "I've got you" cue. The woman froze, looked down at him, and stepped back. Max sat back, satisfied. Later that day, schoolmates of Alex's visited the station for a special subway safety day. Transit staff and local police led workshops on platform awareness, while Alex, flanked by his parents, brought Max forward to demonstrate the rescue routine. With care, Max replayed the decisive moments: ears up, head snap, the single bite on a test strap, then gentle tug to safety. Gasps and applause followed each bark. For the children, Max was more than a dog. He was a living lesson in vigilance and compassion. Meanwhile, behind the scenes at the Transit Authority, a task force convened to codify canine response protocols. Station managers across the network studied Max's incident report, integrating his split-second behavior into staff training: how to leverage a dog's instinct, how to secure a platform quickly, and how to preserve evidence: paw prints, leash marks, the precise location of a clutch. In meetings, they replayed the security footage frame by frame, marveling at the dog's symmetrical posture and pinpoint accuracy. By week's end, Max's influence reached beyond the station. Local animal shelters saw a surge in adoptions, as families sought to welcome their own guardian companions. Trainers offered free seminars on impulse control and emergency cues, teaching rescue breeds and mixes alike to watch platform edges, staircases, even busy crosswalks. One family in the suburbs posted a video of their Labrador retrieving a lightweight mannequin off their deck's edge, calling it our own Max moment. Through it all, Max remained unassuming. After the drills, the awards, and the interviews, he slipped back into his favorite routine, waiting for Rosa at her office lobby. Tail sweeping the floor as clients passed by, he greeted each arrival with a soft, "Hello," a knowing look that said, "I'll keep watch while you're inside." Rosa would kneel, whisper, "Good boy," and together they would head home, side by side, through crowded streets and past neon signs, ever ready, ever watchful. In a city of millions, where hours blur in metal echoes underground, the story of one Pitbull's quick reflex and steadfast loyalty reminded everyone that real safety isn't just built into infrastructure, it's born in the instincts of those who stand guard when seconds count most. And as long as dogs like Max patrol the edges of our moments, we will always have a friend ready to pull us back from the brink. Presence before catastrophe, it seems, wears a wagging tail and gentle eyes, an ever-present pledge. One bark at a time. As October's chill settled into the city's veins, Max's presence became as much a part of Platform 3 as the polished tiles and gleaming rails. Posters featuring his metal-clad silhouette urged riders to stay alert, stay safe, and a small digital board displayed daily counts of seconds gained by canine heroism, tallying real-world rescues and near misses averted by trained dogs. Rosa often paused by that board, tracing Max's name at the top of the list and smiling at how far a single decisive moment could ripple through an entire transit system. One Tuesday morning, the unexpected happened again. A commuter train, delayed by a signal glitch a mile down the line, jerked to a sudden stop just as its lead car began to roll backward, an unintended, creeping reverse that sent a shockwave of uncertainty through the trailing cars. Moments later, An elderly man stepped off the platform without noticing the slight backward drift. His foot hovered at the edge of the platform's lip, an invisible boundary between safe ground and swift-moving steel. Max felt the imperceptible shift beneath his paws before any human registered it. His whiskers trembled at the draft of displaced air. And in the same split second he had saved Alex. He launched forward again. This time he gripped the man's coat sleeve gently in his teeth, tugging him a full half-step back just as the car's wheel flange scraped inches from where the gentleman had paused. The man stumbled, regaining balance, as the train's emergency brakes hissed and lighted panels blinked a final warning. Commuters gasped, then burst into applause, and the station announcer's crackled voice called out, "Thanks to Platform Sentinel Max, a potential tragedy was averted. Please remain behind the yellow line." Later that afternoon, the transit CEO invited Rosa and Max to his office in the glass tower headquarters overlooking the skyline. Max sat calmly by Rosa's side even as cameras from the in-house news team snapped pictures. The CEO presented Rosa with a small, polished plaque for exemplary service in the field of urban safety, Max. Transit Authority Honorary Patrol K9. Rosa accepted on Max's behalf, running a hand beneath his chin. "He's just doing what he loves," she said. Behind the scenes, transit engineers reviewed the event logs. They discovered that the unintended backward roll had been caused by a rare software glitch in the braking control system, one that would have gone unnoticed for weeks without Max's intervention. Armed with this insight, the engineers deployed an emergency software patch across the entire fleet, preventing further reverse creep incidents. In a city where technology often moved faster than people, it was once again a dog's living reflex that spotlighted a hidden vulnerability. Word of Max's second rescue spread even faster than the first. Local TV ran segmented head-to-head clips. Max saving Alex versus Max saving the elderly commuter. Each montage underscored by the defiant roar of trains and the soft pant of a grateful dog. Social media platforms tagged the stories hashtag Max 2.0 and hashtag Platform Guardian. And soon Max's tally stood proudly at 2 major lives saved. Countless moments secured. Meanwhile, Rosa and Max returned to their routine, morning commute. The soft whine of the turnstile. The familiar scrape of the train's wheels. But now Max walked with even greater purpose. His shoulders squared, his gaze sweeping both platform and tracks as though charting every angle of potential hazard. Rosa marveled at how unassuming he remained. A friendly nod for a dropped newspaper. A gentle snuffle for a lost umbrella. Yet the same steel-clad readiness beneath his calm exterior. By year's end, the Transit Authority formalized the Sentinel K9 program, establishing dedicated handler positions and retrofitting select stations with canine-friendly facilities, raised platforms for easier boarding, scent-free cleaning protocols, and custom leash anchors at key sightlines. Every new handler underwent the same rigorous training Rosa had championed. And every canine recruit learned the signature alert routines that Scout and Max had perfected. At the inaugural graduation ceremony, Max, now wearing a ceremonial vest embroidered with 3 gold stars, led the parade of new sentinels through the station lobby. Commuters paused to applaud, children pressed their faces against the glass to catch a glimpse, and transit workers saluted as the dogs and handlers filed past. As Max passed Rosa in the front row, he offered a single bark, his gentle, "all clear," and settled into his handler's arms. Satisfied with another day's silent watch. In the quiet aftermath, as platform lights dimmed for the night, Rosa knelt beside Max and whispered, "Thank you, boy, you keep us all safe." Max leaned in, resting his head against her shoulder. And for a long moment, humankind and canine stood together in the hush of possibility, united by the unspoken promise that as long as hearts beat in 4 legs, no train would ever claim its riders without a steadfast friend first sounding the alarm. Presence before catastrophe, they knew, would always ride the rails. As dawn's first light filtered through the station's skylights, a soft hush settled over Platform 3. Commuters paused in their morning routines, glancing at the polished plaque near the turnstiles. In honor of Max, Transit Sentinel K9. Lives saved, too. A young mother bent to adjust her daughter's backpack, then murmured, "Stay behind the line," echoing the very lesson Max had taught them all. Across the city, the Sentinel K9 program had blossomed into a living network of watchful companions. At dozens of major transit hubs, trained dogs patrolled platform edges with their handlers, each canine's keen instincts backed by bespoke safety gear, vibration-sensitive collars, body cameras, and rapid alert radios linked directly to control centers. Engineers used Max's incident data to refine braking algorithms and platform edge sensors, ensuring that every unplanned move of a train would now trigger both mechanical fail-safes and a dual canine-human response. In a quiet ceremony at the City Hall courtyard, Mayor Lin unveiled a bronze statue of Max in mid-leap, jaws ever so gently gripping a backpack strap. Surrounding the statue, children's drawings depicted dogs with capes, trains with "Thank you" banners, and families reunited. Speaking into a crisp autumn breeze, the mayor remarked, "Today we honor not only Max's singular heroism, twice proven, but the bond between people and their dogs. A partnership that watches over us when technology sleeps. Presence before catastrophe lives on in every tail wag, every alert bark, and every life saved." Back on platform 3, Rosa released Max from his harness. He trotted the familiar yellow line one last time before settling beside her bench, head resting on his paws. His eyes, deep pools of calm, reflected the gentle bustle of the morning commute. A commuter offered a grateful pat. Another slipped him a piece of apple. Max accepted each gesture with quiet dignity, content in the knowledge that his watch had made a difference. And so in the heart of the city, where steel rails cross concrete veins and the rush of thousands fills every moment, Max's legacy endures. Each day, as trains roar into tunnels and alarms hum unseen, there stands a faithful sentinel on four paws, embodying the simple truth that the truest guardians often come in forms both gentle and steadfast. Presence before catastrophe, Max has shown us, will forever ride the rails.